Hi guys, Sarah here from Highland Haven Australian Shepherds and Highland Haven Dog Training, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 1 of Dog for Thought. Joining me is my co-host, daughter, and dog trainer extraordinaire, Sophie.
Hi everyone.
What's going on, Sophie? How are you?
Good. Dogs have been, I feel like there's nothing super
We've had
crazy.
no dog drama in the last week, and
this is... You better knock on wood.
This is a very welcome break from the dog drama.
Yes.
Everybody's been good. Mm-hmm. We've just had boarding dogs. Yep. Training dogs start up next week. So, I don't know. It's been kind of a quiet week.
Yeah, thank God. Let's not jinx it.
So, what do we want to start with today?
Did you want to talk about Lucy?
Yeah, we can talk about Lucy. What do you want to talk about?
Well, you wanted to update. Didn't you want to update about her resource guarding and her... What was it? Resource guarding and then her peeing.
All right. So Lucy is a training client. She is a German short hair pointer. She's about 2, I think. Maybe not quite. Maybe a year and a half. Mm-hmm. Oh.
No, she's 2. Her mom just said it was her birthday the other day.
All right. She's 2. She was with us, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago for training. Mm-hmm. She came from kind of a sketchy background. She was bred by this guy who was not taking care of her and her brother. They were like stuffed in a crate together,
covered in pee and poop. I guess they advertised her as GSP, but I guess the guy thought it was a German Shepherd. What is that? What are the initials? GSD. And so he went to go look at them and then realized that they're pointers and they were malnourished and covered in shit. And the guy was hosing them off with a hose while they were in the crate in February.
That's sad.
So she kind of bounced around. The guy took them to a shelter and then a rescue. And then the rescue put her out with this another family who had like a Cocker Spaniel. And then they would just, no rules, no, just like any old regular household, they were just treating her like any old dog.
I think she was only there a day.
Yeah, well, and then they were just throwing food on the ground. Like, they throw food on the ground for like their other dog, like in the kitchen?
Is that what she said? I don't remember that.
Yeah, this is what she told me. And they threw food on the ground, and then she went after the other dog, and they returned her.
Springer.
Yeah, a Springer. Yeah, some sort of spaniel. And they returned her, and then the owner, who does listen to this podcast, she took Lucy in and had Lucy for a couple weeks, but they prefaced her being like, I don't know how she is around other dogs since she got returned attacking another dog. And she has 2 guiding eyes reject dogs, so super duper sweet labs. And then we kind of came in and helped her integrate them with the labs, giving her rules. And then she stayed with us for board and train, which it was a tough board and train because she constantly peed, constantly barked, and then throughout the time we're trying to integrate her with new dogs, she started resource guarding and going after more.
Severely
over like little things that you wouldn't see in time, like a little piece of kibble hidden in the grass, and she would like resource guard it,
and the other dog would be oblivious
and have no idea why. So after that, then she became a solo dog, and then we kind of went over with her mom like, this is a serious problem, and you're going to have to be really on top of her and not give high value treats and stuff like that. And
because the 2 labs were super neutral and no resource guarding at all.
No, but super food motivated. So, they would sniff after the same.
So the resource guarding specifically for Lucy is over anything she finds valuable to other dogs. So she doesn't resource guard to people. So that's a huge
plus because,
If she had resource guarded to that extent with people, I would recommend that you put her down. I mean, she would have been a dangerous dog. So, no, she didn't resource guard to people. You could take things from her, which is always interesting about resource guarding is that, in a situation like Lucy, you think, well, she's had a background of maybe where she was malnourished, right? Maybe she had to sort of fight for resources to survive, right? But then those dogs don't necessarily resource guard those same things to people, from people, only from other dogs. So resource guarding is such a fascinating behavior.
And on top of it, it's like people put her in those situations.
So you would,
she would think that she would resource guard against people, but she associates it with dogs for whatever reason.
Yeah, really strange. But she would get sort of a glazed look.
Almost like Bruce from Finding Nemo. Yeah. It's like she would turn into like this shark and just like complete. It was and very. As soon as you
saw it, there was no way you were going to be able to stop it in time. No. And she would pounce on another dog. She really wasn't looking to injure them.
No, but she
was more bluster, but
like an overcorrection.
Yeah, but really scary stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, she did end up puncturing Twiggy once, and then that's when we were like, okay, like, you know, bluster is a little different than, you know, even if it's an accidental puncture, it's still a puncture. So we kept her as a solo dog, and then gave her, when she went home, gave her really strict rules with the mom, being like, you know, no high value food. She should be tethered. You should always be watching her with the other dogs, and
that's the saddest part, is that she loves other dogs. She's very playful. She's very high energy. She really likes to run around and wrestle, but we did not feel comfortable, do not feel comfortable currently letting her socialize with any dogs that are here for obvious reasons. You know, they're not our dogs, and we have to make sure that everybody stays safe. And we don't want to use a dog as a guinea pig to see what Lucy will be like. No. So, we had a long chat with the mom about, are you sure you want to do this? Because resource guarding is something that you have to manage for the life of the dog. Yeah. And this is a young dog.
Yep.
And do you want to do this for the next 11 or 12 years?
Yep.
You know? And she was very sure that she wanted to do it. You know, she's got a life and stuff, but I think she was recently retired. So the dogs were, you know, what she was doing.
I think she wanted a project dog, and then she got a good project dog. And we were like, if you put the time in, she has such a good outcome, but it's going to be a lot of time that you have to sacrifice with her.
Well, I did not think the resource guarding would go away.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. The way
it's been my experience that resource guarding is a lifelong behavior.
And especially, it's like one of those primitive itches. Like once they itch that, it's like so hard for them to stop it. It's kind of like nicotine, you know, like once you start, you know, getting addicted to nicotine, it's hard to stop. Where like if you're never exposed to it, you never even know.
Yeah, you know, resource guarding is so fascinating to me because, like I said, you know, the dog will resource guard from other dogs, but not necessarily to people, or sometimes to people and not other dogs. Yeah. Or sometimes the dog has been literally almost starved to death and they have no resource guarding issues. And then sometimes the dog lives in a lap of luxury from the day they're born and they resource guard. So, you know, obviously this is some sort of hereditary or genetic sort of predisposition. And it can be sort of triggered by environment, which, looking back, I think that's the case with Lucy.
Or it could just be genetics.
Or, like I said, there could be no issues with lack of resources, and the dog just resource guards, like Buddy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
When it's handled poorly, and it's almost always handled poorly in a lay household, right, in a pet home, because people have no idea how to handle it. They do exactly what you would do to a person, which is, hey, no, you know, and they are very punitive with it, which is a very, very outdated way to handle it. So it usually gets exacerbated in a pet home.
And then that leads to a bite, and then they call us.
Right. And then, you know, it just makes it worse and worse and worse. Fortunately for Lucy, we sort of got in on the ground floor with her. We've been working with her, and she's come back several times for boarding. So she did her board and train with us, then went home with the mom and
came back for a bit and then went home and then came back for a bit again. And
but none of that for training. That was just because the mom, boarding. Because she's so much to handle every time the mom went away, she didn't want to leave the family with the responsibility of Lucy because she needed so much management. So she would send Lucy to us and then leave the labs at home generally, or sometimes the labs came with her.
Yeah.
So what we noticed, she's been with us twice in the last 2 weeks or so.
And we haven't seen her in probably 2-3 months since she came back for boarding here and there. And, you know, we have like special Trek flooring because she pees and then steps in her pees and then gets it all over the walls and all over herself. And then
so in her enclosure.
Yeah, in her enclosure.
She has a raised floor because she was peeing so much. And then she would step in it and have to sleep in it and all this stuff. And it made no difference to her. Like the whole crate training thing, I think that because she was crated for long periods of time and had to eliminate in her crate, it completely ruined the natural instinct to not to poop and pee where you sleep.
Yeah.
Fortunately, she wasn't pooping.
Yes. Thank God
that could have been worse.
Only pee, but it was a lot of pee.
So we actually retrofitted and one of the enclosures with a raised floor. So if she peed, she wouldn't be stepping in it and sleeping
and it would just be a puddle, and then we can just mop it up, and then it's not a big deal. And then there's something else we have. So we have that.
We use the bar collar on her, which we use the bar collar on lots of clients because they live in the home with us, and they can't be allowed to bark and disturb us in our regular lives, or of course our neighbors. So she used the bar collar, which she worked very well on. So we haven't seen her in a few months. She came back a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. For boarding with the labs, brother and sister, with her sibling labs, right? And we had set everything up and made plans to socialize her separately and all this stuff. First thing I noticed, she didn't need the bar collar anymore. No barking, which was awesome, right? That's for most of our clients. Most of our clients, we don't even use the bar collar through the whole time that they're here for training. Yeah. It's usually the first week or so until they learn that, we don't bark when we're alone. You settle. For Lucy, we had expected to have to use that, but we didn't need to use it.
Nope,
so that was great.
Didn't need to use it. And then on top of that, her peeing almost completely dissipated.
Which again was something I had not predicted.
So interesting. No, because I thought when dogs are in the first 8 to 12 weeks, that's when they establish. That is when who they are is being established. After that, everything is management or training. You have to either train it out of them, which for the most part
desensitize them, or management.
Yeah,
right.
There's no, you can't change who they are after that point. And because she was with this person until that period of time, especially with housebreaking and barking and resource guarding, I thought that would be in a permanent state. Fortunately, this is who she is.
She wasn't really peeing at home. That was was my oh God, what if she's doing this? How is she going to live with this dog if she's constantly flooding her crate, right? But when she went home, she wasn't doing that.
Nope. So, and the mom was doing 2-hour shifts with her, keeping her in the crate for periods of time. But also, it was a crate, not an enclosure. Where here, when we had her in the crate, thinking that would be better, it was even worse because she was just had more access to her pee in a close vicinity. So then, so it was tricky. But luckily, when she went home,
she wasn't doing that.
She wasn't doing that.
So that was, thank God, because I'm not sure she could have stuck with her through that. So she came back. The barking was gone, and the peeing was almost gone.
Almost gone. It was the last 2 or 3 days. It was during the day she was peeing, but not overnight, which is crazy because we were having so much issues overnight with her.
Well, she was peeing multiple times.
Yeah,
flooding the enclosure multiple times.
Overnight was the worst because it would be multiple times, and I would walk in and it would be draining out of the kennel because of how the floor is shaped. It's the middle of the floor is where all the pee goes, so it would just slowly seep out from underneath the grate we had on top that she was on top of. But no, she was not peeing overnight, only peeing a little bit during the day.
And we did have the mom have her vetted, take her to the vet and make sure that there was no
a urinary tract infection.
UTI, there was nothing physical that we thought was wrong with her.
Which she came back with a clear panel. It's just a anxious peeing, I guess, that was happening.
So that stopped.
Yep.
And then she stopped resource guard.
Yeah. So we haven't had her out with any other dogs besides her sibling.
No client dogs, only her own siblings.
Only her own siblings. And it was, I think it was by accident, right?
It was made by accident because we have inside we have a divider. So our inside playroom, we can have 2 groups out. On one side is all the dogs that can socialize with each other, and then on the other side of the fence was Lucy and her 2 siblings. And she was out with her 2 siblings, and I didn't realize that there was a natural bone. There was a couple of natural bones on the floor. And I turned around and left the room. When I came back, her and her black lab brother were laying on the ottoman, both chewing bones right next to each other. And I was like, holy crap. Oh, my God. Throughout the rest of that shift, I actually videoed her switching bones with him, taking bones away from him taking bones away from her. And I'm telling you, dogs don't normally surprise me.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Normally they're fairly predictable. I've been in this game a long time, and they don't surprise me with this kind of this drastic, massive change. I'm not really sure how I feel about resource guarding. You kind of go back and forth because, sometimes you think, well, it's more of a behavioral thing, right? It's a learned thing. And then, you go through a period of time where you're like, no, this is really hardwired.
Well, when we had Buddy, I was like, oh, resource guarding is 100% hardwired. Either genetically they have it or they don't. Like, I was very much so like on that end of the spectrum. And then we got Lucy, and I was like, oh, this is like, it's like a very different form of resource guarding where like, Buddy was more parading, which is holding objects in his mouth and walking around like proud about it, which is a very much a retriever kind of a resource guarding. And anytime you went to go take that away, he would resource guard it.
But you know what, with Buddy, he wouldn't come after you. So
no.
Buddy didn't resource. Here's a perfect example. He didn't resource to other dogs.
No, he only resourced against people.
Right. Buddy was smaller.
Unless there was a high value thing like the poor old lady Daisy, I forgot what her dog Gigi, and Gigi just happened to walk by his bone, and he went after Gigi because it was a high value home. High value bone. So like it's tricky, but like for the most part with him,
he didn't come. If you sat down, he wouldn't come after you.
No.
If he had something, whereas Lucy would like go out of her way to go towards another dog and resource guard something that was now 10 feet behind her,
and the dog didn't even
know that there was even an issue. So resource guarding is absolutely hardwired. I'm sure of that. The question is, when does it get triggered? Is it so hardwired, so severe that it takes like the most minor trigger to have it come to the surface? Or is it something that you have a sort of a genetic predisposition to it, but wouldn't be triggered with a normal life, whereas Lucy didn't have a normal life. So this genetic predisposition, which was not very powerful, was triggered because of her sketchy background. That's sort of where I land with her, because throughout that whole stay, she didn't resource guard once. Nope. And that includes walking around, because the playroom, of course, around the perimeter of the playroom are all the enclosures, right? And sometimes there are bowls of food behind the gates because those dogs haven't finished their meal, right? She didn't even resource guard that.
Nope. And then,
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it was crazy. She didn't resource guard anyone else's food. Also, let's keep in mind, when she first came to us, she was underweight. And we were power feeding her. Like, we had all these,
plus she had the runs, like her
she
GI
was like,
system was a little bit, I think she had Giardia at one point.
Yep.
So she wasn't in 100% health.
No, when she
was
came
still
the
recovering
first time,
from her.
And she was super skinny, and we were power feeding her and giving her like protein powder and antibiotics, and
but we weren't. The owners were.
Well, the owner was giving us this stuff to give to her, and now she comes back and she's like nice weight on her, and she has this nice relationship with her siblings now that she spent more than only, I think the first time she came, she only spent like 3 weeks with them, and then she came for training. Right. So she didn't really know them. I only think she went after, I would think it was just Holly once over like something weird in the yard.
But she got Holly's ear.
Yeah, got Holly's.
And Holly's the sweetest.
Yeah, the sweetest lab ever. So, and the mom has also been super duper diligent on making sure there's not high value things and having her out and 100% watching her when she's out. And I think this is a lot of the times when we talk about when you overmanage a dog, right, and take them out of a triggering situation, and you do it for a long period of time, when you bring them back to that situation, a lot of the times their behavior will be different because they forget what they're supposed to do, or just don't have that same itch that they need to because you took them away for such a long period of time. And I think that also plays a fact into it, is her mom never gave them any high value bones.
So what you're talking about is not rehearsing. So
yeah, not rehearsing a behavior.
If you occasionally let your dog engage in a behavior you don't like or rehearse it, it's always sort of going to be there. Yeah. So in order to completely break a habit, they have to be 100% not allowed to engage in that behavior. Yeah. Right. So her mom was very, very strict, had really good management protocols at home. And she just never allowed her to be in that situation again. Mm-hmm. So that time she came back, she didn't do any resource guarding. She got to play with her siblings, which was nice because she didn't have to be totally solo. No barking, and she only peed a few times rather than multiple times a day. So then she came back again, just Lucy, for like, actually I think she was like a week.
It was like a week. It was 7 days.
Yeah. And there was no barking.
No barking.
She peed once out of the entire stay.
Yep.
Which is incredible.
A miracle.
Like, I'm blown away by that.
Yep. And absolutely no resource guarding. To the point where, like, we didn't have her with other dogs, but we created an enclosure outside so she can be with the other dogs, but not be with them.
Not have contact with them.
And I gave her a high value bone. And I let her chew it in the enclosure. And Luna, which is another lab that who was coming for boarding, would frequently, labs are addicted to food. So they kept going over there and being, oh, is she done with the bone? Is she done with the bone?
On the other side of the fence.
On the other side of the fence. And Lucy did not give two shits.
Yeah, that's blown me away.
That's crazy. You know how high value that bone is? And she could just totally, and it's also like, it's a positive feed, like, gate fighting too. So it's not even just resource guarding, it's like fence fighting and all those things. Like she had no
right, because fence fighting is a form of resource guarding. Yes. Right, you're guarding your space. Mm-hmm. And she's never done that.
No, but it could still be turned on.
It's
with
part of it.
High value food. And then so I gave it to her hoping that she would behave, and she did way better than behave.
Yeah, it was really incredible. So what does that tell me about resource guarding?
Yeah.
It tells me it is
ever evolving.
Yeah, it's not just one thing. It sort of is a spectrum. I always sort of tell people the worst case scenario, because I'll be honest with you, most of the time the worst case scenario is exactly where you're going to land as far as what you're going to have to do to manage this dog. When you're talking about resource guarding towards people, if you're talking about a large dog, I'm a no-go on that. Mm-hmm. It's just not worth it to me. I don't think dogs like that should be in society because it's just too dangerous. Yep. Children are the ones that usually get hurt in those situations, and sometimes severely or even killed by dogs who are just resource guarding something. So I am that's my hot take on resource guarding. We were going to do some hot takes today. But I really feel like dogs who resource guard anything against people and who are large enough to actually injure and even kill someone should not be in society. They should be behaviorally euthanized, period.
So, we can go into our next topic. So our topic today is hot takes. So just things that
unpopular opinions, perhaps unpopular opinions about some topics.
So going back to behaviorally euthanized, what do you think about that boxer that attacked that man? It was like a couple months ago.
I think we talked about it, right?
We did talk about it on the podcast?
I feel like we did. He was an influencer, and he had adopted that boxer. Mm-hmm. And the boxer was 7 years old, and he had 2 small kids in the house and a wife. And the dog ended up attacking him and severely injuring him. And he was a big guy. I think he was over 6 feet, over 200 pounds. Yep. And this 7-year-old boxer attacked him and twice. And to the point of like he had to hold the dog down as the dog was actively biting him to get him to like. It so was if that dog had gone after the wife or the children, he would have killed the kids. He would have killed the kids, and he would have almost killed the wife, if not completely maimed her. And I think. So I don't think that's a hot take. The take is the dog needs to be euthanized. My point is, yes, but that's behavioral euthanasia, and I think that's a hot take to. Well, the hot take is that dog should have never. I blame the rescue organization because they knew. There's no way they didn't know. And you hear him talk about weird behaviors that the boxer was doing. First of all, it's a boxer, so they just have this bit of an edge to them. This topic is actually two-pronged. It is. Because one is behavioral euthanasia for things like resource guarding, but the other one is I don't believe that rescue groups should adopt out large dogs to families with small kids. Yeah, no, I agree. Large adult dogs that you don't know the background on. I see it all the time. And I think to myself, you're crazy. Yeah. You don't know that dog. Nope. You have no idea how dangerous this dog is or isn't. You don't know anything about it. And you have a 7 and a 9-year-old in the house. Are you kidding me? Or worse, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and you're adopting a big rescue dog, adult? You're crazy.
And I don't care what the breed is. I don't care if it's a Saint Bernard or a Doberman,
Labrador,
or a Lab, or a Retriever. I don't care what it is.
Nope.
If that dog could potentially snap your kid's neck in 2 seconds, you should not have that dog in your house.
No. If you want a golden retriever, freaking go get a puppy. Raise it from the start. Now, people are going to say, oh, well, a dog you raise in the house can also hurt your kids. Yes, it could, but you're going to see signs along the way.
Yep.
It's not going to come pre-programmed.
And on top of it, I always think, when puppies grow up with children, they learn how to be around children. Adult dogs that do not grow up with children have a much harder time being with children.
Almost any dog has a hard time being with kids if they don't have extensive positive experiences with them. Even when you're talking about a golden retriever who, that love kids, let's say, right? That doesn't mean that they're going to be appropriate with kids, right? Nope. Bowl them over, knock them over, jump on them, be insane, right? So, kids and dogs.
It's a funny mix.
And people are so reckless. They're so reckless. And I remind myself that it's just out of ignorance. They just don't know. They haven't dealt with pulling a dog off another dog and been face to face with the power of an animal like a dog. I mean, I've broken up many dog fights in my day. And, our own dogs, we have 8 of them, so they occasionally scuffle. And the power that our 60-pound Aussies have, the male Aussies, is really
insane.
It is insane. And
I don't know how people breed big dogs.
Like, I don't know how people have like German Shepherds in a breeding situation where they fight, because you couldn't get me to separate a German Shepherd from another German Shepherd. I'd be like, they're fighting to the death. I'll be over here.
Yeah, I'm not. And on top of it, we don't even talk about like jaw strength. Like, each dog has their own type of jaw strength. And when we had Lenny here, which was a German Shepherd, he completely destroyed that wired crate. And I was like, the amount of jaw strength it takes to rip welding apart is crazy. It's crazy. Might as well, like...
Well, he bit in half the metal clips.
Yeah.
I'm like, geez. I mean, I had German Shepherds, so I'm familiar with them, but...
I didn't think their jaw strength was that strong, because I always thought the jaw strength was measured by how big, that heart shaped on their head was. Like, you see like a pitty and they have like a giant heart shaped head. You're like, oh, if that dog bit you, you're fucked. But like a German Shepherd, they have such long, slender heads, and Lenny especially had a super long, slender head. Yeah. So I didn't think he had any real jaw strength in that head of his, but gosh, he did.
100 years of breeding.
Yeah, and he proved us wrong. That is for sure. And I'm pretty good at it.
Fortunately, he was a sweet guy.
Yeah, he would never put his mouth on you.
So, I mean, like, people are... I know it's because they just don't know. They just have never experienced it. Or maybe, I mean, there are people out there who just believe that things aren't going to happen. Like, they're just in denial. We can talk about... Denise Venzi and her belief on, what are the consequences? She had a terrible tragedy happen to her recently. Again, what are the consequences? If things go wrong with this adult shelter dog that you just brought into your house with your kids, what are the consequences? What's going to happen? If you have a beagle and the beagle turns out to be a dangerous dog, I mean, yes, people will get hurt, but unlikely that anyone's going to get killed. You bring in a freaking pity mix and we see it all the time.
So you know how many clients will call us and be like, oh, I adopted this pity mix with children in the house and he needs training because he's jumping on the kids or he's counter surfing or whatever.
I'm not the trainer for you.
Immediately my mom goes, no, like, we're not training, because it's too much of a liability if we train the dog and then we bring that dog back to a house full of children. Also, side note, we also do not train resource guarding dogs if they have children in the house. So if you have a dog that has resource guarding and has gone after you or children multiple times, you do not qualify.
Children under a certain age. Yeah. So like under teenagers. Teenagers and older, and then we have a weight limit.
Yep.
So if you're talking about the resource guarding is specifically against people. So we have And it's, I won't deal with pitties and pitty mixes, adult pitties and pitty mixes for training. I won't do it. There's plenty of trainers who want to work with those breeds.
Specialize in it. Go for it. I'm not interested.
Because I'm going to look at that dog and see something completely different than the owner is seeing. And it is my ethical responsibility to be honest. And my honest opinion is going to be, you need to rehome this dog. It's not safe in the house with your young children. And so I see those situations of us training that dog going nowhere because the people aren't going to listen to me. And I am not going to speak my mind, particularly when we talk about the safety of the community at large and, specifically their own family.
Yeah.
So I am blown away when people go to these rescue groups and they trust the rescue groups, and the rescue groups are...
That's a whole nother topic. Because there's been a handful of cases of like clients coming to us or like friends that we know, or, just like situations that we know based off of, just being in the dog world where, they adopt these giant dogs and then the people feel like they failed this dog when the rescue gave you a giant Akita when you're dying of cancer and you can't take care of the Akita. That's crazy.
We had a potential client who had that. The guy had stage 4 cancer, and he went to the shelter and they actually let him take home a 4-year-old, recently neutered Akita mix, Akita Husky mix. And, he was severely reactive with other dogs on leash and in animal, wildlife.
Yeah.
And, this man was dying of cancer.
Yeah.
And it's like...
And then you're going to give that dog to your wife? Like after
you're dead.
And plus she's going to be taking care of you because you're dying of cancer.
And they could not decide. They went back and forth and dragged us into this whole drama. And, I don't blame him because, he's just trying to get through something horrible himself and making terrible decisions because of it. Who can blame?
No,
who knows what?
And the thing is,
it was up to the rescue group to go, you know what?
No,
this isn't the dog. Keep going down the aisle. There's other dogs.
Yep.
The big mistake he made is he went to a local shelter rather than like a pet finder online where there's lots of different dogs that come from all over the country. And, the only dogs we have here in shelters that aren't imported from the rest of the country are pitties and pitty mixes or like an Akita mix, like big, scary, high caliber dogs. That's why they're there. Growing up, there was a belief that dogs that were in shelters were there for a reason, a behavioral reason. And rescue groups have worked very hard over the last 30 years to change that belief. All dogs deserve a chance, blah, 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 another bullshit statement. And, have sort of taken that belief that, or that story that dogs are in a shelter usually for behavioral reasons to, oh no, all dogs are like these innocent sort of blank slates and they just need love, right? It's gone completely in the other direction. And let's be honest, it has put the public in danger in many, many cases. And, families and children in danger when it didn't have to be because of this radical belief that dogs are somehow different than any other species in the world and they're incapable of being bad. And they're not.
And and not only that, you're not supposed to yell at them or punish them or tell them no in any capacity. Yeah, and it's like those are the dogs that need boundaries and structure and discipline more than any other dog does because they came from a rough background. Loving the dog is not going to change who they are. You can love it all you want. If you don't create rules, boundaries, and understanding and a relationship with their dog, and I'm not talking about giving them a cookie and feeding them every day. That's not relationship. That's not the relationship I'm talking about. I'm talking about taking them in hard situations.
What if I buy fancy raw food?
Right.
What if I spend 20 minutes making their meal every night? Doesn't that build relationship?
I mean, we had this another potential client who had their dog had like a bone spur and was on all this crazy raw food that we had to create for her. And they couldn't even just bring her into surgery.
The dog was a year old and she couldn't walk. She was completely lame. And the woman is telling me, oh, no, she's fine. She just has a bone spur, just needs to get worn down. And I'm like, okay. I'm not a vet, but that doesn't sound right to me. Mm-hmm. That dog is in so much pain. And she's like, well, all the vets want to do is operate on her. And I don't want her to get operated on. Meanwhile, the dog is literally in pain.
Yeah, could not walk. She was a puppy.
A 1-year-old dog.
She could not walk. She was limping. And on top of it, it was the front foot. And if you know anything about like dog anatomy, the front half of their body is 60% and the back is 40%. So if you're only putting one leg on the 60% of their body weight, it's straining and ruining the other leg.
Oh, that was
so like
sad.
if you ever want, well, not that anyone wants to amputate a limb, you hope that it's a back leg.
Sure.
Because that's...
They do better with it has 3 legs and one's missing in the back.
You know, but it was her front leg and she was still developmenting. So like... Who knows what happened to her front leg?
All right, we're getting off topic though.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what the topic was. Oh, the topic started with Lucy and resource guarding and our ever evolving understanding of where resource guarding comes from and how it develops and how we can help it, if at all. Mm-hmm. I don't want to leave that topic completely without, a warning label, which is, most of the time resource guarding doesn't have an happy ending. No. Most of the time, the overwhelming number of times, it does not have an ending like Lucy.
Yeah. And we told her that.
Yeah.
We told her that. Really we were clear. We told her the pros and cons and the percentage of how this was going to change, and she still wanted to do it. And she put so much work into Lucy. I mean, she got
lucky too, though.
She got lucky, but also I feel like she is such a rule follower, and she just stuck with it because anybody else, I couldn't have done Lucy. There's no way. And I'm a dog trainer, and I have no appeal to deal with a dog like Lucy. I mean, she's a lot of work.
She gave Lucy the absolute best possible chance to get where she is.
Yeah, 100%.
And fortunately for everyone involved, she's one of the lucky ones.
Yep. And even then, I mean, she could have still had behavioral problems putting all that work in.
Sure, absolutely.
For the rest of her life.
And who knows, the resource guarding might come roaring back. We don't know.
Yeah.
But a good prognosis for her, so it was really nice to see.
Yeah, and she did great.
And then we talked about behavioral euthanasia. I think that's where we were, right?
Yep. So
that's my hot take on that. My hot take is most of the shelter population should probably be put to sleep. Mm-hmm. And people are like, what? Every dog deserves a chance. This is the thing about behavioral euthanasia. They don't know what's about to happen. So there's no fear there. Mm-mm. They don't know. All they know is, oh, I feel sleepy. Oh. That's all they know. And so it's incredibly humane, and it's a whole lot better than living your life in a horrible, stressful shelter situation. These dogs, there are many dogs across the country that live their whole lives in a shelter. It's like being in a jail, prison in Mexico.
For no reason.
I mean, it's not even a good prison.
Yeah.
So I think that, we need to, shelters and rescues need to start weeding out dogs with a more pragmatic view of what is best for dogs as a whole.
And society.
Yeah, because there's many dogs who are being put to sleep who are wonderful dogs, right? And here we have dogs,
and they're stuck in and these other dogs that need to be put to sleep are stuck in no kill shelters,
which is it's torture.
It's torture, and the dog is scared of people and resource guards objects and chews metal pans because they're so anxious, but they're not allowed to have any other toys because they consume the toys because they're so anxious. So they start chewing metal, and now their teeth are wearing down because they've been chewing metal in their beds, and now they can't have a bed anymore.
Well, not only that, but you have two options in a shelter situation, right? You have solitary confinement, mm-hmm. right? Which the dog spends 8 or 10 years in solitary confinement. Mm-hmm. Or you have these more communal type situations, and those are really quite violent because you're talking about shelter dogs. So to talk about cortisol levels, when you let dogs from different backgrounds and different aggression levels and stuff socialize in those kinds of groups, dogs are getting attacked and scuffles are going on all the time. Mm-hmm. So both of those scenarios is incredibly torturous mm-hmm. to put an animal through. And I think behavioral euthanasia is far better for the dog If you're truly talking about ethics, getting your heart out of it and just thinking with your head what is in the best interest of these animals. And I think having a dog languish in a shelter for years is tantamount to torture.
So there's this, I don't think she's a trainer, but she's super fascinated with like aggression and resource guarding. And so she will take a dog that has no potential to like go to a normal home, and she'll take that dog out of the shelter and like really work on them. And like, it's her entire life. Like, it's like her thing to take these dogs and to work on them and give them a good life. And she recently lost the last dog that she did this with.
Does the dogs live their lives out with her?
With her, yeah, with nobody else. It's just this one dog that she takes from a shelter who has no can't be with anyone else, and she's just a woman and she lives by herself. And this is what she does. So her last dog just passed away. So she was looking for another dog like him. He was a pitty mix. So she was looking for another pitty mix who was like him. And she ran into this female pitty, same kind of situation, super leash reactive, would redirect on other people, all that stuff. She worked with her I think she just had fostered her for a period of time until she could see if she could even fix the behavior. And she has these rules of just like, if I am endangered, if I feel like the public's endangered because I can't handle the dog, or I feel unsafe in any way that like I'm going to get maimed or whatever, then I have to return the dog. Like, she has these like little rules that she has put for herself over the years. And it came to the point where this dog, where it was unpredictable, and she has diagnosed that it was a neurological, like the dog was just born with the wired wrong. And she was like, this dog needed to be put to sleep. And I'm fostering this dog, so I can't adopt the dog and then euthanize it. There was like, she was going through all this thing and she was all upset, and people on the internet were giving her a hard time about it. But she's like, it's not my dog, it's their dog. So this dog's in a no-kill shelter, and it can't be with any other people, any other dog.
How do people live with themselves?
She said it was the hardest thing.
How do people that run that shelter live with themselves?
I don't know. I think you really have to be in the mindset that this is like the right thing to do.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's the right thing to do for them.
I don't know.
Right? Because it's easy for them to not have to do the hard thing and put the dog to sleep. That's all about how the people feel, not about what's best for the dog. And I just don't, I've never believed that life is always preferable. I just don't. I also don't believe that for people.
Yeah, no,
I've seen people lingering and dying for weeks at a time and thinking,
if only
this
we
is horrible.
Euthanized.
Please don't make me do that, because this is horrible to watch that. It's not just horrible for the patient, but also for their family, seeing somebody waste away like that and in pain and just... I don't think that life is the goal above all else. There are a lot worse things than death, especially when you're talking about a death that A, you don't know anything about, so dogs don't understand what's about to happen, and B, is painless and peaceful. I don't understand people who think that it's okay to let dogs languish in shelters for their lives. If they can't be adopted in under a year, they should be. And it's not a good dog. It's a dog with behavioral issues. In the 70s, when I was a kid, there was no such thing as a no-kill shelter. And then this movement came along and convinced the public that no-kill shelter was the way to go. And that's one of these, unintended consequences of things, like that. No-kill shelters are, solitary confinement torture chambers for dogs that are unadoptable. And I just think it's cruel.
No, I agree.
Anyway, let's move on to a new topic, shall we?
The sport thing.
Oh, yeah, we could talk about that.
That's an interesting hot take because, I think people go into doing dog sports. So when we mean dog sports, we mean like obedience, agility, dock diving, shit sun, any sport where there's particular goals that you have to reach with your dog. We went to Westminster like 2 years ago, and we kept talking to each other like, does that dog look like it's having a good time? Well,
we watched the agility portion of Westminster, right? The preliminary qualification runs and whatnot. And we can contrast this with when we watch the sheep herding stuff, right? So agility, there's no point to it, right? It's not but it is, it's a fun thing. I'm sure everybody knows, right? There's basically a horse jumping course that the dog has to run through, right? And some dogs do absolutely love it.
It's like crack.
But I was kind of surprised at probably half of the participating dogs clearly
hated it.
No, maybe hate is a strong word.
They were doing it for their owner, but was their drive
receiving no joy from it?
Drive, motivation, having fun. I would not categorize half the dogs.
There's a reason that the top agility dogs in the country and in the world are dogs like Shelties and Papillons and Border Collies and because they love that kind of competition, right? They're wired for that. And then you get people who are bring a husky into the ring. I have yet to see a husky who truly enjoys agility. I do respect that you can get your dog through the course because huskies are tough.
But the thing is, have you seen the one with it's like a bulldog? He's going slow, but he's loving it. You can tell. But half the dogs there were not having a good time, and the owner was essentially begging them to just jump over this hoop. And I'm just that dog is not. I can tell you work all the time with this dog, and that dog does not want is just not driven to do it.
I get it. You put so much time into selecting the dog, right? And then raising it, and then waiting for their bones to fuse before you can start, practicing agility and all this stuff. And then you get to that point and you realize, the dog doesn't really like this. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do? Just not do it with that dog anymore? I get that people stay the course because you've already invested so much time into it. But let's be real, folks. Your dog doesn't like it. Now, contrasting that to the sheep herding competition, actually was cattle, right? It was
cattle. It wasn't sheep. It was cattle. It was 3
steers or whatever.
I think they were yearlings. They were pretty. They were small. They weren't huge.
Yeah. So when we were in South Dakota for vacation, we went to the Tri-County Fair, and they had a sheep herding or a herding competition. It wasn't sheep herding, but they were all Border Collies except for one Aussie. And let me tell you, maybe not the Aussie. The Aussie was an outlier, but all of the Border Collies live and breathe that work.
Oh my gosh. It was so fun. I wish there was more of those. I wish we could watch more of those. It would only be at the state fair that you could see it, at the country state fair. But that was probably way better than Westminster. No offense to Westminster. I think that's a whole different category of its own. But watching a dog do what it's naturally bred to do is just...
But it's still competition.
It's still competition. And there's whistles, certain tones of whistles are left and right. And each dog had a different, so sometimes it was way, or they would use words, but the whistling was crazy because I don't know what the whistles mean. They're just whistling at their dog, and this dog is perfectly herding the cattle around.
It's no different to the dog, right? Just the jumble of vocalizations that come out of your mouth are no different than whistles. Amazing. But to us, it seems amazing. So my hot take is, if your dog isn't enjoying the sport that you are doing with them, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Why are you doing it?
Yeah. Well, and Twiggy likes a lot of different things. I try to do a lot of different things with her.
She doesn't like paddleboarding.
She does not like paddleboarding, so I've given up on that. And if I do it with her, it's solo. She can't do it with any other dogs. And the whole time she's anxious. So she's not enjoying it. I stopped doing it. We have 1,000 other dogs. I'll just take another dog. I thought maybe she wouldn't like the boat because of that, but she loved the boat because it was beginning, middle, and end. I think with paddleboarding, there's not really a beginning, middle, and end.
It's too low drive for her. She needs an activity.
Yeah. But she liked jumping off the bow of the boat and swimming around and jumping off the bow and swimming around and jumping off the bow. And then I do mountain biking with her, and I thought maybe I would do gravel biking with her and have her run side to side with me. The difference between mountain biking and gravel biking is mountain biking, I'm in the woods. So I'm the slow one and Twiggy's behind me. And for bits of the mountain biking, I'm going up a hill and she's walking because I'm trying to get up this hill. And then when we go downhill, she runs full speed. Mm-hmm. But it's essentially jogging in the woods with me, mountain biking. When I did gravel biking with her, I had her attached to the bike where she was just running next to it at a specific pace that she would have to do. And that was too much for her. So I don't think it's a bad thing to try many sports with your dog.
Absolutely.
And then decide, gravel biking's not the thing for her. Paddleboarding's not a thing, but she likes going on the boat.
Maybe even try it a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't try, but I think that...
trying to make your dog something that they're not.
Trying to fit a round peg in a square hole is just, I don't know. I just think if your dog's not loving it,
find another activity.
Find another dog.
Or find another activity to do with that dog.
Right. Well, either find another activity or find another dog for that activity.
True.
You know, the people at Westminster that do the agility stuff, those are people who this is their life.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Well,
and people
and then
who most of them have multiple dogs for that very reason.
Well, then I wonder, is that the only time that the dog's being taken out? Is just to do agility and then being put away again? And that's
I mean, I suppose there are some dogs, certainly some sports, like I would say like IGP, like Schitzhund is more like that. Like is more, you only interact with your dog when you're doing like this really rigid stuff.
Because how can you live with a Malinois
and there's plenty of people in IGP who don't believe that, but I think it's more prominent in a sport like that.
Or like police work. I feel like with certain
like with Malinois and stuff, it's just really everything's really, really structured, and there's not a lot of like downtime playtime. They're like house dogs.
Yeah.
I don't get the feeling that that's the same with agility.
But it could be.
But I'm sure there's a percentage of people who do that for sure. But I think most agility people, this is a beloved pet as well.
True.
And dock diving and whatnot. It's funny. I thought I would really like dock diving in person. Man, it's so boring. I think it's boring.
When I got Twiggy and then I realized how much drive she had, you were very much like, you should go to agility classes, or
she would actually be a good dock diver.
She would be a fantastic dock diver. Maybe not fantastic. I don't think she can jump very far, but she would love doing it.
I don't know. I think she's high drive and she's not afraid to jump into the water.
She's so weird. We took her on the boat for the first time and we had the paddle, we don't have a slip yet. We have a moiter, which is where you have to swim the paddleboard out to the dock, out to the boat, and then get the boat and bring it in. So we have to have the paddleboard on the boat. And as we had it on the boat, she was freaking out that the paddleboard was on the boat. And then once we took it off, she was being such a nerd.
What about the boat, you mean?
No, when we had the paddleboard on the boat and it was swaying back and forth because we were going out to the spot, and she was freaking out.
She's a pretty brittle dog.
And then we get out there and I jump off the bow of the boat and she jumps off with me. And I'm like, you're afraid of the paddleboard moving, but you're not afraid to jump off the head of the... that's crazy. What's wrong with you?
Just Twiggy for you.
Oh my goodness. For sure. Same thing with mountain biking. It's we'll be mountain biking and we'll run into another person and dog and she's like, perfect. And then I'll have her on a leash and we're walking in our neighborhood. And she sees a dog that she doesn't know.
She's a challenging dog.
And I'm like, dude, But then other times, the lab over there that they have him on the electric fence, that dog doesn't react to her anymore and she hasn't reacted to that dog. But God forbid she sees a new dog on our walk.
Well, but that makes perfect sense.
It's annoying because I'm just like, you're supposed to be perfect. You're 4 years old. I feel like this is not a big deal anymore.
I mean, the rest of the dogs don't react to that lab anymore either because they know he won't leave the yard.
No.
So it's whatever.
The lab doesn't even bark at her anymore either. The lab looks at her and I just treat her and she looks back at him and
he's like, well, this isn't any fun.
Yeah. So he just doesn't do it.
And well, it's an experience learning a new neighborhood and where the safe streets to walk on vis-a-vis other dogs and whatnot. And
there's only one place that
we have a pretty good neighborhood.
No, it's pretty good.
I feel very comfortable walking around here with our dogs.
I've only got charged once, and it was by an old fucking Shih Tzu, and he had no gums and he had scabs all over him. And he was trying to bite Twiggy with no teeth. And the lady's like, he has no teeth. He's not going to hurt her.
Oh, my God.
And Twiggy's being perfect.
Gross.
And this dog's gumming on her.
Well, what else do you want to talk about? We could talk about how it drives me crazy when people put their life on hold. and say that they can't go do things because their dog can't be left alone. That drives me crazy.
Me too.
Like, I don't understand this whole movement. It's gotten worse since COVID, of course, where people just have decided that their dog can't be home alone.
Yeah.
Like, they have this predetermined number of hours, usually 2, where they can leave their dog alone. I'm like, how are you living your life?
I don't know.
How do you live your life having to come home after 2 hours? Like, where we live, we could barely get to the store and back in under 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
There's no way. I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't get it.
It's not good for the dogs either.
Well, first of all, before any of all this stuff started happening, there was no such thing as
daycare?
Not daycare. Where your dog's
separation
anxious.
anxiety?
Separation. There was no such thing as fucking separation anxiety. You just let your dog out of the house, and that was that. Now there's all this separation anxiety, and all these dogs are on anxiety medication, and this, and that, and they're all being medicated, and it's like, okay, why are they being medicated? Can we talk about that? Not that they need to be medicated. I mean, part of it I do think is like the veterinarian industry, right? Of just like, here's a pill that we can make a fuck ton of money on because you don't know how to deal with your dog.
Well, that segues into how I feel about the vet industry right now.
Yeah, I'm not super happy with it either after Journey, so yeah.
I do think that the vet industry has made a concerted effort, not individual vets, but the vet industry as a whole has made a concerted effort to medicate American dogs because it's a huge moneymaker.
Market.
It is, if you put your dog on anti-anxieties, that's money
every day
for the next 12, 13, 14, 15 years, right?
Yep.
That's a moneymaker. That rivals flea and tick medication.
And guess what? It does nothing for your dog. It does nothing. It actually makes your dog more anxious.
Well, in rare circumstances, I think maybe it works, but in the majority of cases, in my experience,
it does not work at all.
It does not work, and the science doesn't even really bear it out.
Nope.
That anti-anxiety medications work the same way in dogs as they do in people.
No, it's because a lot of the anxiety where it's coming from is just lack of understanding.
I think in the majority of cases, it's unnecessary. There are some rare cases when it does help. But even in those cases, I feel like it should be a temporary thing.
Yeah, no. Like, I just think I just don't think it helps.
I just think lifelong anti-anxiety medication
is not good for them. And I also think that a lot of it is just behavioral stuff that they need to build resilience through.
Absolutely. I think that's the problem, right? Is that there's no resilience building when you're medicated.
I think it's like a temporarily Band-Aid. And I think for certain cases, like a dog coming to a new house or just like I think everything has its place, but I think long term I do not think that
I just don't think it's useful. And I'm not even talking about the health of the dog. Like, I don't even care what the medication is doing to the dog as far as long term health. That's not really my concern. My concern is that it's unnecessary and doesn't work. Right? If it shortened a dog's life by 2 years, but it really worked,
it'd be worth it.
In many cases, it would be worth it, right?
But it doesn't. It actually, I think a lot of the times it creates more anxiety because it makes them not 100%. And then that creates more anxiety because they don't feel 100%. And this person is asking them to do certain things in certain situations where they're already not confident. And then if you already take them off kiltered a little bit, it's going to inflame the behavior that you're working on. A lot of cases, I feel like when dogs come to us heavily on anti-anxiety medication, our first conversations with the owner are like, okay, let's pull this back because we need to get to the root of the problem, and we can't get to the root of the problem if all this medicine fog is in the way.
And honestly, some of these behaviors that people are medicating them for are just permanent behaviors that you have to live with.
Yeah, it's like, well,
you have to manage and live with them, and it sucks sometimes.
Yeah. It's like, sorry, you got a really anxious Aussie. It is what it is.
You have a dog who barks at noises or whatever, or is reactive to new people. That's sort of who they are.
Yeah.
And believing that we can give them a pill to make them biologically different almost.
I mean, I feel that way about humans too, but
don't even get me started. That's another story. That's a different podcast.
But I just think medicine and the pharmacy industry and all this stuff, this whole like a pill will cure you, I think is bullshit.
I think there's a place for it, but most of the way it's being used is not helpful or useful. All right. We didn't even get to most of our hot takes, but we can save it for another day.
I feel like we just rambled.
Well, we always just ramble.
I know.
Why would this episode be different than any other episode? We could summarize it by saying we're happy for Lucy. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the reason I like to take dogs with behavioral issues, because we always learn something.
Yeah. Every single dog we had who've had like crazy behavioral issues, I've learned so much about like how to help another dog in that situation. And I think with dog training, you have to keep in mind that you're always evolving and changing. I know we talk about this all the time. If you go to a trainer and they say that they know everything, they don't. Like, you need to be with a trainer who is like, I don't know everything. You know, I'm still learning.
Let's try. You need to be with the trainers ready to try things and then pivot when it doesn't work the way they anticipate that it's going to work, because one size is not fit all when you're talking about intelligent creatures of any kind. Yep. And, you know, the more experiences you have, the more breadth of knowledge that you have, the more you're able to, target that experience into helping the next dog. So, even when things are hard, I always try to think what I learned from it. Talking about Journey's C-section. I mean, we learned a lot from that experience. Mm-hmm. It was a horrible experience, and I never would have elected to go through it. But also that experience, I came away with new knowledge and information about what a C-section looks like with a pregnant dam, and how they can handle it and what needs to be done.
And it's really not a big deal if you go to trusted people.
Right. Well, yeah, that part of it really stunk, but I take no responsibility for that.
The thing is, with that, we did everything right. Sorry, we did everything right. We were so prepared, because like, you can't be breeding for this long and not eventually have a dog that needs a C-section.
For sure.
And we were so overly prepared. Most people would have gone in when she was in distress. She wasn't even in distress yet when we brought her in. All right,
let's wind this up. I don't know when Jacob
didn't even ask me my hot take.
What's your hot take, Jacob?
I think Indiana Jones 2 is actually a pretty good movie, and I feel like people don't talk about that.
Okay, shut up.
Temple of Doom?
Temple of Doom sucked.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
No, it's not good.
It sucked.
I haven't rewatched
it. Wait. You know what my hot take about movies is? Roadhouse is the shit.
That's a good
I fucking love Roadhouse. The ending is weird. The beginning, amazing. Golden. I'll just watch the first bit until he transfers the bar and then rewatch it again.
Roadhouse.
My hot take, Flash Gordon from 1981. Best movie ever.
Or Dune.
Or Dune from the early 80s.
The original Dune.
The campier, the better.
I remember when the new Dune came out, you're like, oh, I love this movie. I'm like, what movie is it? And then you showed the original. I was like, what the fuck is that?
It really has less to do with the movies as the time period in my life when all those movies came out. Conan the Barbarian, the original. Mm-hmm. Dune, the original, with Kyle MacLachlan. Flash Gordon with the Queen soundtrack. And then what was the other one I was thinking the other day? Oh, freaking Excalibur. God. So many famous people in Excalibur. I think it was 1981. It is the worst made movie in the world.
Well, I feel like
have you ever seen it? It's so bad. It has so many famous people. It has Liam Neeson in it. It has I don't know. There's probably 15 famous people in it, and it's so bad they did a making of special on it. That's how bad it was.
Well, I feel like your Dune is my Twilight. Twilight's so bad.
It's so bad.
It's so fucking bad.
But there's no charm in it. I see no charm in Twilight.
See, but like you watch.
But how old was it? How old were you when it came out?
I was like 11, 12.
Okay.
So yeah, it's the same thing as
that's
Dune.
The time period.
Yeah.
How about you? What movies when you were 11 and 12 came out? I have a theory that is such a pivotal time in a kid's life, maybe going from childhood to sort of being a teenager. And they see movies differently. They start to see adult themes in movies, that it becomes part of who you are. Like it's like a rite of passage, which is why those 4 movies for me, they were all between 1980 and 1983. And 1980, I was 11. And 1983, I was 14. So it's that time period. Yeah, and they were absolutely the worst movies ever made.
Yeah, no.
I love them, every minute of them.
It's Twilight and Hunger Games. So
Hunger Games was really good movie, though. Yeah. I could still watch that. But Twilight is so bad.
So fucking bad, man.
That's not even a hot take.
I rewatch it and I'm like, my favorite scene is when he carries like the eggs. I'm like, why does he have fucking eggs?
He can really act. That's your buddy, right? You really like him.
Well, he's awesome as Batman.
Yeah, he's Batman.
What's his name? Rob Pattinson?
Yeah.
He's great in a lot of stuff.
He's actually a really good actor, so he just must see that and cringe.
No, he does. I think he says it's like one of the worst movies he's ever done. But like, I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't have it any other way.
These aren't even hot takes. These are just straight up facts.
Yeah. All right.
All right, let's wind it up. So, I don't know when this is going to be posted, but hopefully sometime soon. So, we're going to try to get 10 episodes this season?
Yeah, let's do 10 because we always tried 12 and then the last 2 we take forever doing. So I feel like 10 is the perfect.
All right. Well, 2 down.
Yeah.
8 to go.
8 to go. Yeah.
I love it.
I know you do. I don't not like it. It's just like, part of my day I have to remember to do.
Because you're so busy.
I am.
You're so important.
I have a life. Burn. All right.
All right. We'll see you guys next time on Dog for Thought. Bye. Dog for Thought is written and hosted by me, Sarah Brown, co-hosted by Sophie Brown, produced, edited, and original music by Jacob Brown. Don't forget to like and subscribe.